Wednesday. I hope you guys are doing well. I can't believe it's already the middle of the week. Can you guys? What are we gonna do today? I've got a ton of things on my mind that I want to do, and we will see how much I get through today. I've got that mess upstairs that you guys saw me start to go through yesterday. I got quite overwhelmed. I didn't finish because that involves getting rid of things. I'm going to keep the tubs intact of things I'm getting rid of, and I'm gonna have a garage sale. So I think what I'm gonna do is pull out what I think I will use this year and leave that set aside. And we in fact did none of that, and you guys will see coming up. Leave in the tubs what I know I'm not going to use, and I sure had high hopes for myself on this morning. I woke up with lots of energy, but I just couldn't get it together. That way, when Ernie comes home, he can bring the tubs down, or, you know, maybe not when he comes home, but I want to do a garage sale. And so I want to make it easy to get things from upstairs downstairs. I, in fact, have decided I'm going to decorate my house, and whatever I do not use, I'm going to sell. And I just need to start clearing things out of this house that I don't want. I'm very overwhelmed today with thinking of that, and that's how I get very overwhelmed. I also just went and got mail, so I have a table full of stuff that I need to get rid of. I've got boxes in the garage that need to go to the convenience center. I've got laundry to do. I'm in one of those very overwhelmed moods right now, and I need to chill. I need to chill because yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot, but one thing at a time. Everything down here is my regular housework, so I need to chill on that. But I'm not a paper clutter girl. I can't function when I have paper clutter, so I think I'm gonna deal with that first, and I'm gonna get the laundry started because we're down to one clean towel. It's time to do towels. Once I have those two things taken care of, I don't care about the bed not being made. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I just finished showering and blow drying my hair. It's ultra clean right now, so it doesn't want to do much, but I had breakfast, so my bowl is sitting on the table still. I've just kind of been all over. Oh, we got something in the mail, really cool. You guys might be interested in this. You guys may have seen these advertised, and I had really wanted to get these because when we had that, you know, when everybody's cell phones went down and nobody could talk to each other, well, that for me was worrisome because Ernie's out of town, so I couldn't contact him. So we decided to go ahead and get the rapid radios, which made me feel good. So this is the box that they come in, and they pre-program them for you. So it takes quite a while to get them. I think it took 3 weeks for us to get ours, but this is what they look like if you are interested in getting these. I was hoping they were actually sitting in my mailbox and Ernie could have taken it with him, but I'll give you guys an example of how they work. I'm gonna get these charged, and when he comes home, he'll take his to back to Florida with him, and that way we always have a way to communicate. Even if cell phones go down, it comes with a little charger. It comes with a little clip thing if you want to clip it on your side. They're very reminiscent of the old Nextels radios or cell phones, and then it comes with this here. If for those of you who don't know what these are long-range walkie-talkies, no cell service needed. So Ernie and I will be able to communicate with these from Florida to Tennessee. I could contact him if he was in California. It doesn't matter where he's at, I'd be able to contact him. So that's why we got these. It's part of our prep that we like to have. So we got those. I'm very excited. So hopefully I'll remember to give you guys a sample of how that works. I was hoping that he would take his with him, and then I would be able to say hi to him on camera all the way in Florida so you guys could see how clear they work before you make the purchase, because they are $400 a set. So not cheap, but definitely an investment. It tells you how to charge. It comes with the how to charge, you know, your phones, and a quick start. We have that, and then I just have all the smell I gotta go through. It's driving me nuts. So let's take care of that really quick. I wanted to show you, I picked up this cookbook at the Bell Buckle Cafe, and it's recipes from a lot of the residents in Bell Buckle. So it's got cakes and pies, drinks, desserts, main courses, sides, all kinds of fun stuff. I thought it'd be fun to cook out of this year, so yay! Okay guys, we're gonna get into reading some of these comments. I asked you guys to leave me some cooking stories from your early marriage, your earlier days of cooking in the kitchen. And so we're going to go ahead and start reading some of those. They're so funny. Okay, so Prancer writes, oh my goodness, I have so many cooking mishaps. The funniest one was when I was first married and decided to cook the entire Thanksgiving dinner by myself. There wasn't any Google in those days, so I got that big red and white Betty Crocker cookbook and read everything about cooking the turkey. I decided to put some stuffing inside it and coming out onto the plate. I didn't have anything to tie the legs together except some blue craft ribbon. So after it was done, they asked me what I had done with the neck and the other insides. Well, I said it didn't come with any of those, but it did, and there were still inside. It was in the little plastic bag, and I had cooked them inside the turkey behind my stuffing. It's been many years before I volunteered to do that again. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's so funny, but that is a very common mistake for first-time Thanksgivingers. Thank you, Prancer. That was hilarious. Crystal writes, I was so lucky that both of my grandmas were great cooks and taught me everything I know. So she didn't have any cooking mishaps. God bless ya. Lisa, rad grandma. I don't know how excited mine are, but the first time I cooked the Thanksgiving dinner myself and everything was done, as I started to carry that green bean casserole to the dining room, I tripped and face planted in the casserole. Oh my gosh, as well as it going all over the carpet and the walls. Also, my family loved French toast on the weekends, so as a special treat, well, instead of reaching for the cinnamon, I grabbed the cayenne. That is a special treat for sure. Hilarious. We were 20 years old, Peggy says, when we married and my husband worked construction. At Thanksgiving, the boss gave everyone a turkey. I put ours in my mother-in-law's freezer, not quite sure what to do with it. Come spring, she wanted to free up space and asked me to come get the turkey. I picked it up and allowed a whole day to get it stuffed in our small apartment oven and on the table. I was so overwhelmed, I never got out of my pajamas. When I finally got that turkey on the table, I was exhausted, but I felt like I had made a huge accomplishment until my husband cut into the bird, only to find a bag of innards still inside the bird. I stuffed the wrong end. Fast forward 40 years, 10 children later, and hosting 30 people for Thanksgiving, and I still find cooking a Thanksgiving turkey a bit overwhelming. Just doing those couple of things has made me feel so much better. This is your sign to tackle those things that you can see that are bothering you. Just take care of those. Don't worry about anything else. Just take care of those items today. That's all you need to worry about. Just clearing my table of the clutter, getting the laundry started. I feel so much more.
𝓕𝓾𝓻 writes, I make homemade cinnamon rolls. Anytime we had any type of activity that involved food at my church, I'd make cinnamon rolls. One time while making the dough, I added salt in place of sugar. I baked nearly 4 dozen rolls, and luckily for me, I had tasted them before I took them to church. Needless to say, they were awful, and every one of them had to be thrown in the trash. Oh, 𝓕𝓻𝓸. Janet said, I'm a good cook, self-taught. I've had some duds when creating dishes. My husband's a really good sport. And honestly, in a nice way about the duds, my most memorable flop was back in the 80s. I made a homemade vegetable soup, a huge pot. I was going to freeze most of the portions. It was really good and full of vegetables. And then I decided to add red cabbage. It turned the soup into a very unappetizing purple mess. It tasted good, but looked icky. My husband and kids ate it afterwards, and my husband said, we don't have to eat this again, do we? We still laugh about it till today, and I dumped it out. What a good sport. I have two. The first one I already shared in a comment, and I shared it with Brandy, and it was that we had our first apartment, we had our very first son, and we had a couple over for dinner, and I was hosting my first dinner party, and so I didn't know how to make asparagus, but I was trying to make a very fancy dinner for our guest, and so as a side dish, I decided to buy canned asparagus. If I only knew then what I know now about how easy it is to make them fresh, I would have done it. I served our guest canned asparagus. I noticed the faces on the husband and the wife when they were eating, and I dug in because I was serving, and when I sat down and dug into those asparagus, they were disgusting. Brandy laughed because she said she loves canned asparagus, but I'll never be able to get that taste out of my mouth, so I'd never open a can of asparagus again. I'll share my next story coming up. Let's get to a few more of yours. This one is funny. It's from Jill. She said she made homemade mac and cheese and put it to bake in the only dish that there was, which was a punch bowl. It exploded because it wasn't oven safe. That is hilarious, Jill. I bet you thought you were putting it in the most fancy dish that you owned. Oh my goodness. I was very proud of myself until I realized that I did not click record when I was decluttering my 2 dresser drawers. I got rid of everything I didn't take a second look at from spring to summer and things that I just am not into anymore. I just packed it up, and when I go to the convenience center, I'm going to drop it off at the clothing donation. Sherry, yours is funny. Sherry says, not when we were first married. I stayed pretty easy then. However, as a gift, I got the white trash cookbook. Most of it is great. I decided to try a recipe called Tutti Frutti's Porkettes. It was pork, sweet potatoes, pineapple, and maraschino cherries. I honestly thought, well, it might work. Oh, but it did not. My family still talks about how awful it was. To be honest, I don't know what a porkette was. I used pork chops. I still don't know what a porkette is. I'm going to Google it now, though. I kind of want to try it again, but I've been voted off the island. That is hilarious, girl. Sherry is hilarious. Writes, when hubby and I were first living together in 1985, I made homemade spaghetti sauce, so he had red pepper flakes. Needless to say, my mom never cooked hot, quote unquote, so I added a few tablespoons. I had no idea what they were. Well, I found out, holy hot dogs. Now I use extremely sparingly. Oh my goodness, that is hilarious. Within my first week of marriage, Lynn says, I only had 2 cooking vessels. I had 1 huge lobster pot and 1 small casserole dish. I decided to make some Lipton onion noodle soup mix from the box using one of my 2 choices. I realized that the supersized lobster pot would be so big that the soup wouldn't even level across the bottom, so it would burn. So I used choice number 2, the casserole dish. I figured if I could bake with it, then I could boil on top of the stove too. Thank goodness it wasn't standing over it, as I was alerted to a strange sound of the casserole dish blowing up and soup remnants and glass shards flying upward and outward. Lesson learned, but I will never forget that moment 48 years ago. Oh my goodness, that is funny. Trina writes, when we were in high school, my bestie and I decided to make dinner for her 2 brothers while their mom was out of town. We made chicken fried steak with cream gravy, our first time to ever attempt gravy, Well, what can I say? We struggled. However, all was not lost because her younger brother thought our mashed potatoes were great. When he said that, we looked at each other and began laughing hysterically as we hadn't made any potatoes. That cream gravy was so thick that it passed for mashed potatoes. Okay, that one takes the cake. That is freaking hilarious. Jennifer writes, when I was in my 20s, I was cooking an entire Thanksgiving dinner. I left the round plastic piece in the ham. I cooked a pumpkin pie, and I didn't realize that you had to add all the stuff in it. So I grabbed pumpkin puree and instead of pumpkin mix. I just assumed, and I grabbed a pumpkin and I dumped it in a pie crust. I cooked it, and I thought that was it. I had many blonde moments back then. Now I just have blonde senior moments. That is hilarious. Oh my God. I'm not going to be able to get to all of these. You guys are freaking hilarious. Thank you so much for writing these. Okay, let's see. There's a lot of people who made their first turkey and forgot to take the innards out. But this one is funny from Sherry. It was early in our marriage, my first time making the ham. I repeated the same steps from watching my mother make her ham from previous holidays. I added the pineapple rings on top and then the cloves. I drenched it in dark Caro corn syrup. Once done, hubby sliced that ham and we began to eat. However, he had a disturbed look on his face and proclaimed this was the worst ham he had ever had. Unbeknownst to me, he had eaten the cloves. I assumed he knew to remove them. Oh my God, we laughed, but not until we were sure he didn't need medical attention. 32 years later, and ham is still on the holiday menu. That is so funny, Sherry. Oh my gosh. This one's from Mary. I have always been overweight, so always have tried some different diets. Well, one I tried had kale and other veggies like it. I made the recipes they called for you to eat. It was horrible. After a week, I told my honey, I just can't eat like this no more. I'll stay fat if this is what I have to eat. My honey goes, oh, good. I couldn't stand the food, but I was just going along for you. Well, 20 years later, my husband still mentions this when we talk about diets. That is so funny, and what a great sport he is. And that brings me to my next story. Rice-A-Roni went on sale. We were on a tight budget, so I loaded up on whatever was on sale that I knew I could feed my family with. And so I loaded up on Rice-A-Roni, and we ate that Rice-A-Roni for months, often during the week with different meals. I made it as many different ways as I could think of. And one day, Ernie says to me, hey, babe, do we have any more of that Rice-A-Roni left? And I said, no, this is actually the last box. Can you believe it? And he looked at me and he said, good. He was so tired of eating Rice-A-Roni. Those are my two stories. But anyways, let's see. All right. This is so funny. Patty writes, my past is a story. But when I got married the second time, I wanted to make fried rice. I put the rice, not cooked, in my frying pan and tried to cook it. I told my husband, this rice is not cooking. He laughed and hugged me as I cried, but he helped and it was good rice after he took over. What a great sport. I loved that. Angie wrote, I burned a pot roast in the crock pot. I don't know how you do that. Carmen writes, well, the first time I tried to make spaghetti, I put them in the oven without any liquid. I was very young and fortunately did not set anything on fire. Oh, you poor sweet girl. Oh, the stories are funny, you guys. There's a lot, but there was a lot of the first time turkey giblets left in, which is so funny. But anyways, I am just making myself a quick pasta. I'm doing it in a different way, and I make my simple pasta different every single time. So I'm going to go ahead and include this 𝓤. I made it in the cast iron skillet. I don't know if you guys own cast iron skillets or not. I do not wash my cast iron. You are not supposed to ever put soap in your cast iron skillet. But that really depends on who owns the cast iron skillet. I have heard people say that they will wash theirs and then re-season. But anyways, this is my pasta, and I was making it with the intention of having it for dinner 2 nights in a row. So this was 2 servings of pasta. And so the cast iron skillet was washed and re-seasoned, and it was on the stove. And I said, well, let me just use this to toss my simple pasta around in. I had a couple of bites, and after the second bite, I was like, this is not tasting really good. And so I ended up not eating it. Well, it turns out that my cast iron skillet needs to be washed and re-seasoned, but I'm not going to wash it with soap. I'm going to use baking soda to do that. But this is typically a very delicious meal, and it still was good. It just had a hint of, I'm not really sure. And from what I've been reading, it's because I use tomatoes, and because tomatoes are acidic, that tends to bring out the flavors, or I don't remember how they put it. I don't know. Cast iron is a interesting animal to deal with in the kitchen. Anyways, this really wasn't a fail. It was delicious, and it looks beautiful, and it typically is one of my favorite dinners to have when I don't have the flavors of every other meal that's been cooked in the pan. I want to thank you guys so much for sharing all of your stories with me. That was so fantastic. I hope you guys plan on tuning in tomorrow, November 1st. We're going to get the tree up. I want to thank you guys so much for staying till the end, and we will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.